Satellite Investigations has launched its new website full of great new content. Matt and his team have released some great informative blogs. Make sure you log in to LinkedIn and follow Satellite Investigations for the latest content. The Campbell Group has teamed up with PI Perspectives to offer listeners top-notch, affordable insurance solutions. Private investigators can get insurance for their business for as low as $305 per year. Apply now at piperspectivesinsurance.com and receive a quote back within 24 hours. Over the past year, our industry has been the target of foreign governments and agencies that have attempted to recruit unsuspecting investigators to gather intelligence or immediate expatriates. PI Perspectives is teaming up with the Federal Bureau of Investigations to get the word out about this ongoing crisis. If you've been contacted by an individual or company that might seem suspicious, please contact the FBI at tips.fbi.gov. You can also contact the New York field office at 212-384-1000 to report suspicious activity in any state. The link is also in the show notes. Even if you completed a job and it still doesn't sit right with you, you can report this activity. The only way to stop this trend is to work together. So let's do it. Do you enjoy our podcast and the guests we bring you? Since 2019, Matt and his team have done their very best to give you amazing shows each week. If you feel like our show has helped you to be a better investigator, or maybe even inspired you to become an investigator, please let us know. We're looking for testimonials. Drop Matt an email with a recorded 20 to 30 seconds of you talking about this podcast. You can also email him something verbal about the website. His email is matthew.s@satellitepi.com. And if you really feel blessed for having this content, consider supporting Matt and our show by joining Investigators Toolbox. You really have to see version 2.0. And at just 49 cents a day, it's a no-brainer. Now let's jump in to this week's episode. Welcome to this week's episode of PI Perspectives. Today, on this show, we welcome back the one and only George Gergis. George has taken over the position of National Director for the National Association of Legal Investigators. There is a great conference in St. Pete, Florida, starting January 31st. The guys are going to discuss the lineup. Please welcome George Gergis and your host, private investigator Matt Spaier.
And welcome everyone to this week's episode of PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. Today we are highlighting a conference that is going to take place at the end of the month down in Florida for NALI, the National Association of Legal Investigators. And I asked the current head muckety-muck of that association to come in and chat with us. He's a good friend of mine. I'm really happy to have him back. George Gergis, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are like the cockroach that doesn't die, dude. You can't get rid of you.
That's right. We've outlasted dinosaurs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's slow and steady. Patience and diligence will get you anywhere.
Exactly. So for those of you who don't know who George is, you should know who he is. He's served on a bunch of state associations and national associations and has really helped the industry. And he's put out some ethics training, big pamphlet that we had him on to chat about. And so you're the national director now for NALI, correct?
Yes, the National Association of Legal Investigators.
Fantastic.
Was elected last year and serving a year and trying to do the best we can. You know, it's a little bit of a humbling experience being the director. Some of the best investigators that I know are NALI members because we're dealing with not just regular investigations, but investigations that are going and are being presented in trial and for anticipation of litigation.
Right.
So there's a lot of complexity to it, and a lot of the skilled, experienced investigators that I know are NALI members, and being elected as the director is really a humbling experience to be recognized.
Yeah, no, it's definitely great. It's definitely great. So tell me a little bit about the conference that's coming up in Florida on the 31st.
Well, it's the Midwinter conference. because of COVID, we have postponed our midwinter conferences. We've been doing webinars, but NALI usually does two conferences a year: the national, which is usually in the summertime in June, and then one that is in the winter. And the winter gets the location of the winter conference, the midwinter we call it, is picked by the national director. And I started my career in Florida. You may or may not know that. And I have some family down there, and it's a great place to visit, especially when there's snow all over the United States and in our lands up here. Right. So I picked Florida, St. Pete Beach. It's a great location. I figured it's right on the beach, the hotel. I figured right between the education and the continuous education, I'll probably be on the beach, sitting by the water, maybe drinking a Corona and listening to some Jimmy Buffett. But so the location is great. The state is a nice, relaxing area to do the conference, and we have like a really good lineup. NALI does some of the best conferences as far as the educational stuff. Right. So, and what we did this year, we've had some very good sponsors and supporters. PI Perspective, the podcast, the Investigators Toolbox, also part of our supporters. And with the help of the supporters, we were able to keep the actual cost of the conference down for the members. So we're expecting a little bit larger group coming in, and also the conference had been approved for not only continuous education for many states, but for continuous legal education for the Florida Bar Association. So there's going to be some attorneys there as well, getting their CLEs in.
That's great, man. That's great. So for folks that are not aware or don't know much about NALI, tell me a little bit about the association. How what does it do for the industry?
Well, it was in 1967. These guys that were doing legal investigations, they got together and said, "Hey, what we do is really important. There's communities can survive wars, they can survive famine, they can survive disasters, but a community cannot survive without justice. It falls apart. And what we do is, our motto at NALI is, without true facts, there is no justice. We are the ones that doesn't matter which side we work on, whether we're working on, and our client bases are from one extreme to another. We could be working for the holiest of thou people, and we could be working for the monsters that actually take the life out of humanity and people that serve humanity. And right. We do everything in between. So what we do is we get the facts, we get the truth, and we dedicate our efforts to that, so there could be true justice based on facts. In 1967, these guys got together and said, "Hey, what we do really has a big impact on the people that we serve, the people we investigate, and on the justice system as well." So they formed NALI, the National Association of Legal Investigators. And it's probably one of the harder associations to get into because there's a vetting process. And maybe that's why some of the better investigators are members, or better legal investigators.
Present company excluded, of course.
Yeah. Well, we joke around, but you're pretty good. I've seen your work product, Matt, and nice. The work that Satellite Investigations does. When you were an investigator before you became this like big shot podcast producer and celebrity, but you're a good investigator. And
well, I was going to give you some payola for the compliment, but now I'm going to have to take it back. No, but seriously, it is a great organization and a great resource for just inquiries on how to do certain things, shared resources, shared contacts, how to cover different states. It's a close-knit family. That's what I really love about it. I try and go to every NALI conference just because A, a lot of my friends are in NALI, and B, it's just meeting people that are not your everyday people and learning what they do,
And it often, it's things that you don't do, or in states that you're not licensed in. So when you do have that need, you're able to do it. I know when we were down in Kentucky, I actually went to dinner with Harry Gold and a couple other people, and I met an investigator from a law firm in Texas. It's a huge firm, and we made some good contacts. He ended up having a job in New York. We actually had a couple of jobs in New York that we helped out, and they were sizable jobs, with a lot of boots on the ground work that needed to get done. So it was a great contact, and to this day, he's a friend of mine, and hopefully I'll see him in Tampa. I think he's going. So we were trading some messages the other day. So contacts like that, you cannot take away the value of relationship building, going to these events, and joining. I know I've got people on my staff here that are trying to get the certification that NALI offers to be a CLI. So tell me a little bit about the CLI program, what that's about.
CLI program, there's about 100 certified legal investigators, maybe a little give or take, because there are requirements to stay with the CLI, continuous education, and people retire. But the CLI is a test. It's a testing process, and it really some people say that I don't need it because I'm making enough money. I don't need that behind my name. It's not about the money. It's really about testing you to show you yourself how good you believe you are. It's to prove to yourself, not to anybody else. And then, the fact that I'm a CLI, I didn't really advertise. I didn't do any publications. I didn't do any press releases that I became a CLI, but just adding the name CLI at the end of my signature line, I have seen my business has almost tripled since the time I became a CLI. And I didn't really push the CLI, but I have been asked to testify more and, be put on more complex cases because there's a certification that goes in it. There's a lot of good members that are NALI members that probably will qualify to be CLI. They probably know. I don't know more than they do. They just don't take the test. And one of the reasons people don't take the test is sometimes they don't have the courage to fail. And it's not an easy test. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to fail once or twice. We had one person that's a CLI that failed 4 times. On the fifth time, on the fifth time they got their CLI. So it's not an easy test, but once you get it, you're happy you go through it. It's like an experience. I can tell you a little bit about the process. There's a written test, there's an oral exam, and there's a practical exam that all happens in one day. And you also do an article that you eventually get published in our magazine, the Legal Investigator. Nice. So it's helped my career, but you maintain your continuous education with it. Mm-hmm. And it does make you, going through the experience does make you a better investigator.
Sure.
So I have to give kudos to anybody that tries it, anybody that passes it, and who maintains that CLI certification. It really is. It shows to me their commitment and dedication to our profession as legal investigators.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to just dive into the program here of what exactly is going to happen at this conference and the speakers, and just kind of highlight the itinerary for it. So everybody sit tight, and we will be right back.
Specializing in the research of liability for personal injury claims, Pacific Liability Research offers insurance assessments of all applicable liability coverages to help determine what a case is potentially worth. Have a case with no insurance policy? Since 2019, the highly trained staff on their insurance discovery team has located over 100 million plus in previously unknown insurance coverage. They offer a full refund for any inaccurate results, and they do not charge for no-hit searches. Additionally, Investigator's Toolbox members automatically receive 50% off their first case. Just mention Investigator's Toolbox when you fill out your first order. More information can be found at pacificliability.com. Contact them today and discover the immediate impact that Pacific Liability Research can provide.
I want to talk to everybody today about ScopeNow.com. ScopeNow has been a big-time sponsor of this program for quite some time, and I just love their service. I've been using them since the beginning. I'm one of their beta customers, and it's been so awesome to see them grow into the business that they are today, and just how they just keep reinventing themselves and pushing themselves to get more and more information. What it comes down to is ScopeNow is a tool that you definitely need to use if you do social media investigations, any internet research, and really spending less time digging around and looking for information. I think is one of the best points of how ScopeNow can help you. Their AI platform, their analytics are amazing. You really get an idea of what you need. You're reducing the time, you're reducing the manpower that you're spending on doing this research, because they're essentially doing it for you, and they're doing it correctly, which is most important. One of the new things that they're actually offering is this flagging system where you can flag behaviors and really highlight and look out for fraud. If you're doing a lot of fraud research, this is a fantastic tool, and you can set up alerts. So you have particular people that you're looking at, you can actually set up alerts to get notifications when the criteria that you set up is actually is flagged and goes off. It's really, really amazing. And their relationship and association analytics are top notch, really cutting edge and really, really cool. When they brought that out on version 3, it was a game changer. I mean, really being able to see how people interact together and having that relationship analysis is really, really something that's cool. One of the other things about being involved with ScopeNow is their ability to offer webinars. Their team is cutting edge on putting together and getting out really, really great content. If you're a member of ScopeNow, if you know who they are, you've seen them around on LinkedIn, you'll know that they're constantly doing webinars on these new websites that are coming out, and they're really staying on top of it. And don't forget, any reports that you generate, you can actually white label those reports and put your own logos on and really make them look professional, which could equate to more billing for you as well. So check them out today. It's www.scopenow.com. They're a great, great company. They should be one of the tools in your toolbox, along with whatever kind of search engines you do. You need to make sure that ScopeNow is a part of that suite. Scopenow.com.
Check out the PI Institute of Education at piinstitute.com. Since 1989, Kelly Riddle has been teaching on subjects such as surveillance, nursing home investigations, insurance fraud, domestic investigations, hidden assets, and accident scene investigations. The PI Institute of Education is a featured learning partner in the investigatorstoolbox.com. So check out the free content on the site, then visit the Institute for more great savings on additional classes.
And welcome back to PI Perspective. This is Matt Spaier, your host. Today we're joined by the one and only great George Gergis, who is the National Director for the National Association of Legal Investigators. George, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. I gotta send you some payola now for that intro.
Well, there you go. There you go. Somebody's going to owe somebody something by the end of this interview, I think. So we're talking the NALI conference, which is taking place the end of January. It's actually not too late to sign up. I did see on the message board that they extended the booking time for rooms. So you definitely want to, if you're intending on going, you want to make sure you get registered and set up for the program there. So it's going to be January 31st until February 2nd, and 3 days worth of training and shenanigans and all that good stuff. So I did want to highlight the program a little. I got an extra screen up here because I don't want to miss anything. So one of the programs that there'll be one of the speakers there is a guy named Rick Dean. Rick is going to be talking about fraud, scams, and illicit finance. So he's an assistant to the special agent in charge at the U.S. Secret Service. He's dealt a lot with cyber fraud investigations, money laundering, cryptocurrency, and other digital assets. So like this is a topic that's becoming more and more prevalent. I think the last NALI conference, if I recall, in North Carolina, like was geared towards a lot of this type of investigation. There's definitely a trend that looks like it's coming forward here in the country. What are you seeing, George?
Yeah, we can't, computer work and research has changed. Obviously, I've been doing this for 30 years, and it's not just a Google search anymore to find information. It
Right.
becomes more of an art on how to research, the tools that are used to do digital investigations. And when it comes to scams and frauds, especially if you're not have a background with computer work, whether it's law enforcement, you need to like be informed, know some of the techniques that fraudsters will use. When you're doing burglary crimes, you're thinking and you're investigating burglaries, you're thinking like a burglar. So
Right.
that you have to think sometimes on what is available and how it could be used. And so we can kind of prevent it and identify it in the private sector as well.
Yep.
So, who better than somebody from the Secret Service to come in and to tell us about illicit frauds and scams.
Sure.
Everybody's trying to hit up our clients, whether it's a honey trap or whether it's they're using AI to change your voice, to change the voice on a phone call to pretend that they're your kids or an elderly crime. And, we get these calls as investigators all the time.
Sure.
Hey, somebody just took $50,000 from my dad, or somebody just, I think this person told me they were going to do this and now I can't find them anymore. These are like these are scam traps that are out there. So having somebody that's going to come in there that give us the resources and help us identify some of that, that's cutting edge into the next level of investigative work that we do in the private sector.
Oh, absolutely. You can't talk about Florida. You can't delve into cybercrime without mentioning Chris Salgado, All Points Investigations. He's the next speaker on deck there, and he'll be talking about cyber investigations and skill sets and really having a more aggressive approach towards identifying and targeting online threat management. For those of you who don't know who Chris is, he used to work at Facebook. He was one of their lead investigators. Really, really knowledgeable guy. And, his approach to doing research is more methodology driven than using this shiny tool or going to this particular website. He's got a real good pattern on how to kind of approach these, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with him. He's been a guest on the show a couple times, and I've seen him speak at different events. He's definitely a guy who knows his stuff, right, George?
It fits in perfect, back to back, right behind the Secret Service. It's like a perfect setup. And like I said, digital investigations are becoming more of an art than just a science. So it's just like our regular investigations. When you send somebody out there on the street to take a photograph of an accident scene or to interview somebody, it's the skill of the investigator that makes the difference. Whether you're extracting information from a human source, or you're inspecting a vehicle or an accident scene, or gathering video from a nearby camera. It's the same thing when it comes to digital and cyberspace investigations. Mm-hmm. Having that extra push, recognizing, how to manipulate the search, what to look for, the tools that are available, it makes us a better investigator, and it makes us better than our competition. And it also helps us get to the truth of the matter.
absolutely. Absolutely. For those who also don't know, January is Sex Traffic Awareness Month. And I was very happy to see that this is being covered in the itinerary for the program. You got a great speaker. I'm really looking forward to this one. So this is a husband and wife combo. Greg Zazauer and Zarzauer, actually. I think I mispronounced it. And Ruth Zarzauer. They work out of Birmingham, Alabama. And what I really appreciate about Greg is he's on the board for Child USA Advocacy. I actually attended an event for them in Philadelphia. One of my clients is actually serves on the board also. And I realized that Greg was probably there that night and I didn't chat with him. But man, what an amazing association that works for these sex traffic survivors, people that have suffered from abuse, whether through clergy or anything like that. Just helping them navigate through that. And his firm deals with that type of litigation. He's been doing it for over 23 years. He's believed to be the first attorney in the country to use the civil remedy provision from a human trafficking law to bring a lawsuit on behalf of a sex trafficking survivor against a national hotel brand. So we're seeing a lot of that actually now. So you're able to hold a national hotel chain liable for allowing sex trafficking to go on their premises, which is real interesting. So the idea is, they kind of know that it's going on and they're allowing it to happen. So they're assuming some liability there. So I'm really, really interested to hear about that. And he's a super lawyer since 2014, which fits right in. This is probably why we're going to have a good turnout from other attorneys at this particular event, because this is a very hot topic. They had in New York anyways, recently, they had this Child Victim Survivor Act that expired. So attorneys took in a lot of these types of cases, but now they have to investigate them. So in my office anyway, we're seeing a lot of that additional work that's starting to come in. So that's just day one. We just covered
Yeah,
here.
it shows the kind of caliber of people that we have as speakers.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely happy that this type of investigations are getting the publicity that they should get.
Yeah.
And how we're looking at it and getting the attention, where we're not just treating the victims sometimes as perpetrators. We're
Right.
putting accountability where accountability belongs, and the people that are actually making the money from exploiting other people. And this presentation is going to expose a lot of people into that world, where how you can actually figure out methods and techniques to put the accountability back on the people that are accountable for these type of crimes and situations, and help out make a little bit of a better place for some of the victims.
Yeah. So day two, we're back to cryptocurrency and actually sex trafficking, right? Tied that both topics from day one come back in day two, and then we have one speaker talking about that, a guy named Toby Braun, who's the founder and managing partner of the American Special Investigative Group, professional investigation and intelligence firm with offices in Florida and Texas. So this is he's talking about human trafficking, child abductions for the purpose of sexual exploitation on a global scale, and just how cryptocurrency and the investigations kind of turn into all that. So continuing on the theme of that, I'm looking forward to hearing what Toby's going to talk about. Right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a really good topic, and like I said, it's about time that it got the attention that it deserves, not just from NALI, but nationally with a lot of organizations.
Sure. And then the next speaker you have that day is somebody who's also been a guest on this program as well. Kevin, don't call him Wayne McLean, which is great. If you listen to that episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Kevin's a former radio jock and just a really sharp guy. And he's going to talk about business growth and development, right? So the title is confidential for your eyes only. Their secrets are my business, right? So basically, how to take advantage of growing your business and using investigative techniques, including freedom of information. That's been a real passion of Kevin. He talks a lot about making sure you know how to file your right to freedom of information requests and all that. So he's a guy who knows his stuff for sure.
Yeah, and this is something I spoke to Kevin about. He put for your eyes only. He mentioned that this presentation is not like any other presentation that he had done. The only place you're going to hear the information that he's going to give you is at the NALI meeting, and that's the first time he's presenting it. And there's a lot of techniques and a lot of little secrets on how to get the most out of your FOIA and how to build up your business. And we're happy to have him there, and I'm looking forward to his presentation for sure.
Yeah, Kevin's a great guy. He's a great guy and he knows his stuff. So, and then, you can't do a NALI conference without talking about ethics, and you can't talk about ethics without having Kitty Haley and Carol Moore. You're getting a 2-for-1 here. It's probably the thing I love about Kitty when she talks is it's more of a roundtable discussion with everybody in the crowd, right? So we'll talk about ethics and things that are appropriate and inappropriate, and she's soliciting feedback from people that are there. So like another advantage to actually being there is being a part of that conversation, and you really can pick up some nuggets on the ethics side of the business, right?
Absolutely. She's the one who wrote the book, and last year, NALI adapted her book as our ethical code of conduct. She has the highest standards in ethics, and so do we. Her presentations are engaging, they're entertaining, they're educational. It's almost, we talked about the CLI and the oral board. The oral board is all about ethics, and it's almost like a miniature oral board, because she's going around asking people questions, eliciting information, and it's causing you to think and come up with challenges that actual real life challenges that we face as legal investigators and investigators in our profession.
Yep. And we're going to end the conference with another attorney presentation, Brady versus Maryland, the defense investigator's best friend, with attorney Dennis DeVlaming. And Dennis is he's based out of he's in Florida, actually, looks like, and he's received his bachelor's degree in psychology from the Ohio State University, graduated from Stetson University College of Law in Florida, and he's an adjunct professor there teaching advanced criminal trial advocacy. So basically covering this important law. I don't do any defense work, so this is probably going to be something that I'll learn some things, right? He's the past president of the Clearwater Bar Association and the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. I like to attend these things. I like to learn this stuff because you always know how you're going to lose your case. Always know how your adversary is going to think. And, if you can pull some nuggets from that, even if you don't do defense work, it's always good to sit in and learn about this stuff, right?
Yeah, anybody that does defense work knows about Brady violations and knows about Brady versus Maryland. I've seen his presentation before, and he teaches, he presents, to many attorneys and many attorney conferences, and he presents techniques on how to identify and use how to identify Brady violations and use the Brady versus Maryland case to get as much information as you can from the prosecutor. Anybody that's doing any kind of criminal defense needs to be aware of Brady. And this is one of the best presentations that you'll probably see regarding the topic. Awesome. And we have it here, and we'll have it here at the Midwinter Conference for NALI.
George, it's a great program and throwing everything together. Appreciate the passion that you have for this industry and what you bring to the table here. And it's not too late to sign up, folks, right? So it's NALIonline.org. Just go visit the website, click on the icon, and register yourself. So obviously, you don't have to be a member of NALI to attend the event, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an NALI member. It usually takes about a month to become a member because we go through, like I said, a vetting process.
Mhm.
But if somebody's doing investigations in anticipation of litigation and is not an NALI member, then they should apply and be a true legal investigator with NALI. Like I said, NALI.com, NALI.org. And we've extended the hotel discount. We had to fight for that because there's other conferences in there. So, make our hard work count for something and sign up for get your hotels in, because we only got a week to get that in there and then get your conference registrations in.
George actually had a full head of hair before he negotiated that hotel. And it's all gone now. So if you feel for him, you should go and register, get your hotel room. So we're going to wind down here, George. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting about this. And really, I encourage folks. I know we do this every year when NALI has a conference. I have you or somebody else come on and chat about it. But these conferences are worth going to, especially if you're even new to the industry. Just learning and meeting peers, folks that have been doing this for a good amount of time, that actually know what they're doing, being able to hang out and learn and break bread and get into some shenanigans. And I think there's golf too, or something. I remember seeing something.
If you get there early, we'll do some golf, and we have some other stuff. Well, one of the things you said at the beginning is, like, when we go there and we mix and we network with everybody, it's not really, although there's a lot of business that could be done. Like, I have 500 associates throughout the United States that I can call anytime for work. But what's so significant about me visiting these conferences for NALI is there's people there that think like me, that talk like me, that know the jargon, that know the language. They get me. It's more than any other association, because we're doing the same work. So it's the NALI members and Bruce Springsteen that gets me. Everybody else kind of like I have to teach them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to wind down this podcast now, and I see that the sun is shining through your window, giving you a very angelic presence. And George is you're a true angel to the industry, George, literally. So thank you for coming on. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch everybody next week on the next episode. Take care.
Matt, thank you. You're the best.
Thanks, George, for visiting us again and giving us a sneak peek of this amazing conference. If you can make it, it's not too late to sign up. Visit the website at NALIonline.org. We want to thank Campbell Insurance Group for sponsoring the show. Remember to tell them you listen to save $50 when you apply for insurance. Additional thanks goes to Scope Now, Pacific Liability Research, and PI Institute for Education for sponsoring us. Also, don't forget about investigatorstoolbox.com. You can type in version 2.0, 25%, to save $50 when you join. And please follow Matt and Satellite Investigations on LinkedIn. If you have a question or a comment, email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on Instagram and Facebook. We'd like your feedback to bring you the best shows possible, and we'll be back next week with a brand new show, so make sure you tune in and stay safe out there.